Terima kasih datang. I think you know after I don't know how many years I datang because of COVID-19. So Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Thank you all for coming to this event. I've seen many familiar faces and all that. Last time we met on the conference like this, I think was in January 2020, just before, 3 months before the COVID-19 become pandemic. And it's been too long, and I'm grateful that the pandemic situation has improved. And there's a time for us to usher the year of the tigers. So let us hope that the worst of this pandemic is behind us. But the presentation will begin with a brief recap of the events in 2021, and then our view of current situation for the economy, industry, and Perodua, and of course followed by the targets moving forward. The next slide, please. This is a brief snapshot, of events in 2021. Ranging from the semiconductor chip supply shortage, and to the non-auto players jumping into electric vehicles bandwagon, to the carbon neutrality agenda in COP26 last year. And this event will have the profound effect to the world in general, and particularly to the automotive industry on a global level, as we shift to the bigger capital expenditures and direction change in terms of technology and investment in infrastructure. I think before I move on, let me remove my mask. That's a Okay, the challenges faced last year were the toughest we ever faced, and the impacted nearly all industries except or perhaps the latex and fuel in the tech industries, among others. For the automotive industry in particular, we found that the local industry volume has shrunk in the second year in a row, and this is compounded by increased competition by the players. The shrinkage industry volume for last year means that there was demand for vehicles. Demand was and is actually healthy. We had, for example, in case of Perodua, we had so many outstanding numbers, booking numbers that we need to deliver. And but what happened last year, we all know, we all needed to keep our distance and lockdown from workers, and production had to be suspended. It is necessary for us to stop the production. Nothing is worth more than human life, and we did our part, and will continue to do our part in this respect. There is also a supply shortage of semiconductor chips, and the part of the year, also the spare parts shortages due to high demand, and also the flood, particularly in Shah, where Shah is the area where most of vendors are located, and further, complicated eventually, further complicated the supply issues. These challenges not only tested the intents, but also tested the supply chain resilience and sustainability in such extreme cases. Next, of course, we did not stand still when this crisis happened. We came up with countermeasures to overcome these issues and for Perodua as well as the automotive ecosystem as a whole. We have taken a few initiatives to manage the impact of COVID-19, among others. We have to do the upfront payments, for example, to support the vendors. Longer credit term we give to the dealers. Normal credit term for Perodua is about 20 days, but for last year we give them as long as 60 days, 45 to 60 days. And for us in Perodua, basically because of COVID-19, we have to adhere to very strong and very strict SOP, to ship operation, premiums and all that. And of course, our service center, we got to change the operation hours a few shift And at the same time also we have to make sure that even during the COVID-19, we have to serve our customer. Next. So again, apart from that, we also participated in the PICAS program. 13,000, more than 13,000 Sinovac vaccine were allocated. And we managed to complete all that within 7 days to all our staff, vendors, leaders within the vicinity. And as we speak today, we have had the extra dose event recently, and this coming Thursday, Friday, we're going to have another booster dose of vaccine for all our staff as well as their family and also dealers and also our branches. Thanks. On the blood, we were the first to reach out to patients and to our customers by offering the Perodua Blood Assistance Program, which was originally introduced on 26 December last year. And Perodua has received almost about 2,103 flood case vehicles throughout the country, and of that number now, as we speak now, 366 vehicles has been repaired and returned to their respective owners. So the influx of Perodua vehicles is to its service centers was in response to the Perodua Blood Assistance Program offered by the company, which consists of 50% discount for standby and free labor as well as the free towing services. So in addition, of course, the Ministry of Finance on 7th January announced the 1,000 ringgit voucher initiative to assist Malaysians whose vehicles were damaged by the flood. So we are trying to manage this, and we are trying. Our KPI is actually to make sure that we need to repair this vehicle as quickly as possible, and we hope the customer will be able to use their vehicle earlier than expected. Referring back to making the automotive ecosystem more resilient, we introduced a blueprint, what we call Perodua Smart Build in March 2021, which is in line with our article introduction, which detail our journey, not just about our future technology and future development, but how we can strengthen our suppliers and dealers so that industry will be able to reach its potential. This idea was tested in the year 2021 as we deal with many crises last year. So despite these challenges, we also saw growth opportunities in our premium vehicles. Last year we have built more than 10,000 units of vehicles, and we hope this number will continue to grow this year. And we have also identified new business to venture, which is the our leasing business, which we have introduced. We name it Perodua Easy Mobi. And another one is our fleet management. So for information on the fleet management, we have received quite a number of requests from our customers, including also the local government and also local authorities. We have also had to reform our sales and after-sales network in order to modernize them and make them relevant to the market and ultimately to our customers. Our target is that by 2025, we hope we should have 70% of our operation of our outlet 70% should be based on the 3S center nationwide. Currently we have close to about 200 outlets nationwide. And our quest to help to build the nation and Perodua, we also focus on education. As you can see on the slide, we have had engagement with the Ministry of Higher Education for a few initiatives, including actually try to to have a program for the graduate employment opportunities. So we need to do this because we have to work together with the government to make sure that all these new graduates be able to have the job opportunities, particularly in the automotive industry. And after all the eventful and challenging years in 2021, these are the final results. I'm sorry to say that we cannot meet the ordinary what we have targeted. The registration numbers, we managed only to register about 190,000 units of vehicles last year, and market share was only about 37.4%. Production volume at 103,000 units. We have tried our best, but yet still, are not able to meet whatever that we have forecasted earlier. And what is actually very important for us is we had at the end of last year, I think more than 70,000 of outstanding booking. Those customers, they are actually waiting for more than 3 to 4, and even some of them actually up to 6 months to wait for their vehicle. So this is something that is very important. So onwards to 2022, we have to do something, and we need to make sure that these customers are entertained, and hopefully we can manage. We should be able to manage to reduce the waiting period. So economic outlook for 2020, there are bright spots as we can see going into 2022 as the government revenue is set to increase and economic activities will return to normal. This is coupled with an expectation of the price consumer index stabilizing and growing employment opportunities in the country. The commodity and energy prices, as you can see from the slide, are expected to further increase in 2022, but if the increase is expected to be manageable, and if this trend does not move up too quickly, then prospects for growth this year is good. This is what we think. And for Perodua specifically, we have identified 5 key areas to focus on for this year and beyond. Of course, the first one is the focus on recovery. This is our main target, main KPI for this year. The production volume we're looking at for this year is going to be around 265,000.9 or 269,000. This will be the highest ever production volume that we're going to produce. And registration will get beyond 240,000. It will be around 247,800 units, and we are targeting about 41% of market share. And of course, other than the recovery scenario, we have to make sure that our supply chain improve and remain resilient, particularly learning from what happened in 2021 and 2020 and 2021 particularly. I think with strong support and guidance from us, I think our suppliers and vendors should be able to overcome whatever challenges for this year. And of course, another thing is actually our staff. They are actually asset in the company, so we have to make sure their well-being, welfare, and not forgetting to focus on ESG. IT is another thing that is very, very important. The communication infrastructure, digitalization, transformation need to be done this year. And as we go on later, I will explain exactly why and what kind of initiative that we need to take this year to make sure that IT and digitalization is in tandem and in line with the development of the industry. And R&D is something that we cannot forget. No matter what happens, we will still focus on R&D. As I mentioned in time, even in 2019, our focus is to make sure that Perodua and Malaysia be the R&D hub for the ASEAN. So that KPI, that vision that we have will not change. We will continue to enhance and expand our R&D. So I realized that MAA recently has set a target of 600,000 this year. But based on our estimates, the TRB will likely to grow to up 610, given the strong demand for vehicles as consumers would like to take advantage of fuel sales tax increase offered by the government. And of course, and we also expect that there will be strong demand for first half of this year. And we hope the government will continue this sales tax incentive or zero sales tax until at least end of this year. So if this continue, that really will help the recovery of the automotive industry. And we as the national car will play a role to make sure the industry, the whole automotive industry expand and grow further. For 2022, we forecast sales, as I mentioned earlier, about 147,800 units of vehicle. Of course, this is based on our current projection. This is likely to be actual numbers of vehicles sold in 2022 if there are no other major unexpected crises this year. Macam last year ni, when I said 120 and suddenly flood happened. So kita tak boleh buat apa lah, very difficult for me to do and try to adjust. But for this year, I qualify scale up. The 147,000 is actually based on if nothing happen and if sales tag end by end of June. Kalau sales tag, let's say extended, maybe we hope we can do beyond the 147,000 units. So this number actually, compared to 2021, what the market share where we registered 37% in 2021, so we will hopefully be able to recover the market share to have beyond 40% of market share in 2022. And as I mentioned earlier, this growth is based on current stock demand. As we stand today, we have received at end of I think yesterday, close to about 86,000 outstanding booking that we have. Out of that, I think about 60,000 units with LOU. So ni basically problem for us because LOU normally 3 bulan dia LOU. Then customer also dia akan complain every time kalau kita if we are not able to deliver the vehicles within the 3 months time, dia kena renew their LOU and then we need to talk to the bank or send to the system to extend or have a LOU accordingly. So for service intake, for 2022, we also see improvements. Our service operation, as we foresee a record number of vehicles coming for servicing this year. Why what we learned from what happened in 2020 and 2021, and based on the some new countermeasures being taken, we feel that for this year we should be able to receive about 2.45 million of vehicles for this year, and 2.45 million will be the highest ever to be recorded if we manage to do that for this year. So this is also in line with where with our network reformation strategy, and hopefully with this the fleet expansion of our fleet operation, we will be able to achieve this number, if not higher numbers than 2.45 million. Of course, the increase in sales also means increase in our production. So for production, I have Datuk Swami here. He has committed to produce about 265,000 units of vehicle. Again, of course, hinges on no major unexpected crisis happening in 2022. And inshallah, if it is relatively smooth sailing this year, this will be the highest ever production achievement by Perodua. So 265, and then we're going to sell about 247,000. So we have a buffer of about 15,000 or so, 15 to 18,000 or so, to cater for the to the back orders, or to cater, hopefully to reduce our waiting period, moving forward for this year. So this is the strategy for this year. What we plan to do is that we have a higher production numbers, to make sure that the booking would not go beyond 3 months booking or waiting period. Would not go beyond 3 months. To ensure this to happen, we have to further strengthen our suppliers. Of course, suppliers are very important. Really like that, when we want to do the beyond 240,000, for example, there are so many new things that we learn. Suppliers, particularly, not only suppliers capability and capacity, but also our logistics. The body boxes, the part supply system, all of that, the distribution system need to be improved. So for suppliers, we need to further strengthen them through various strategies, and with the assistance of the other parties such as the government and our stakeholders. I believe we be able to help them to improve and strengthen further. And on the other end of the spectrum, they also focusing on our dealers, with the aim to strengthening their operations and for them to become fully professional in their financial as well as operational conduct. Most of our dealers, they are family business, so we are actually now want them, to become the entrepreneur, a proper entrepreneur with the proper skills and knowledge, and have the the future plan for future business survival. So We are working together with the government as well as some other partners to make sure that we can develop them. Eventually, they will become, they will have the resilience to face whatever challenges coming in 2022 and beyond. So, based on our expected production volume of 265,000 units, we expect to procure about 7.5 billion worth of local component purchase. Last year, I mentioned about 6 billion supposed to be, but because we cannot get because of the volume, so we managed to only do about 5.3 billion last year. But this year, I think, with the, if nothing else happens, if the business continue to be normal like this, and I think we can do about 7.5 billion. And this 7.5 billion not only because of the volume, but also taking into consideration whatever model development or whatever financial that we have, we will try to localize as much as possible. While realizing from what happened in 2021, we have had a problem of the our MSP part supplies because of the port congestion and all that. So localization is very important. So this is another strategy for us to take if you want to go beyond the 240,000 of production. So we have also dedicated our efforts in improving the ecosystem, giving attention to social improvement as well as strengthening our governance to make Perodua a well-rounded organization. On environment, we have identified initiatives to help reducing waste, for example, creating awareness and planting action plans on how to reduce carbon emissions and at the same time making Malaysia greener. So in terms of corporate governance, we are establishing a strategic integrated plan to further improve our code of conduct. Of course, at the same time, reinforcing our existing code of conduct as well as continuous education on its importance to all our staff as well as the partners. So speaking on improvements, Perodua also is moving towards a massive shift of digitalizing our operations for further improve efficiency to take advantage of current trend, especially in Malaysia. So in this slide, you can see, Malaysia has the highest number of internet penetration and also mobile subscription. So just slightly behind Singapore, and then moving on to the next slide, you can see also based on our study in 2011, for example, we have about 2,085 units of the branches of certain banks, and in 2020 reduced to 1826, 11% reduction. Maknanya apa? Maknanya people don't go to the branch, and it is more effective for them to do their banking business using the internet, and we realize this. And next slide, this is another slide where you can see that in 2010, for example, mobile banking is only about 0.04%, and in 2020 it has increased to 47.6%. The ATM, for example, used to be dominant in 2010 of about 77.9% of the total banking requirement. Now ATM reduced to about 39%. Maknanya people actually do more mobile banking now rather than the ATM, traditional ATM. So we realize this. So we will invest heavily in this in digitalization and also in transaction as it is more efficient than normal cash transaction throughout our ecosystem. So we are making plans. Some of them already, already will be introduced in 2022. For example, the e-manual, e-BSO system, the connected vehicle. We will conduct some survey studies. We are now, testing some of the gadgets and equipment at our, to be attached at our vehicles, and hopefully this will be materialized. It has to be soon, and this is the way forward, and hopefully this will ease and help our customers in the future. Moving on to R&D, we will continue to have the vision of R&D hub for asset market. beyond full upper body capabilities and to achieve our set design. So some of the features, but if you notice, we highlighted in red, where is the National Emission Test Center (NETC). This is actually not for Perodua only. We open this to the other OEM. Whoever want to use, they can use, because this is slightly outside our factory, and we do this because we want to make sure that industry, the local automotive industry continue to grow. Similarly, recently we just launched the National Digital Center (NDC). We call it. This is a PR center. The other, OEM, whoever, they still can use this, and they don't have to invest. So this is one of our CSR to the industry, and hopefully, a lot more OEM and the other manufacturer would develop and do the R&D in the country, and this will eventually, develop the growth of the automotive industry for Malaysia. So the total investment to date for R&D is about 1.4 billion that we have spent. So next. So for 2022, in terms of capital expenditure, we think, we plan to spend about 1.3 billion for this year, mainly coming from the, new model preparation, production, and also our plant improvement and transformation. Plant improvement ni maknanya apa? Maknanya including also the, including also making our factories to be green factories. We need to convert them, and then to make sure that the factories actually meet the criteria of green factories, and eventually, hopefully, later on in the future, we will be able to reduce the emission, the carbon emission. Not only emission reduction countermeasures by having the product, but also the factory. So that is our vision and also target. So key targets for 2022. This is to summarize. Registration will be around 247.8 thousand units. Of course, 30% higher than 2021, and also this 247 also is also the highest ever we can achieve this for Perodua. Market share about 41%. 3.2% higher than last year, and production volume 265,000. After sales, I think we can have more than 40% growth this year. And of course, the service intake 2.4 million vehicles expected to come and visit our service center will be the highest ever. And for information, we have now about 4.1 million vehicle on road vehicle unit in operation, 4.1 million as of end of last year. So as you can see, we are aiming quite high this year. To achieve this, we need to prepare the ecosystem to be self-reliant despite the challenges. Competition is growing, and we need to be ready. So, in summary, as part of our internal activities, we must adapt and take advantage of the changes that is happening around us. This change in mindset from defensive to looking for opportunities is a must throughout the automotive ecosystem. We need to always be aware and care for our surroundings and plan accordingly for the future. We also need to ensure that our customers do not have to wait too long for their product vehicles. Be more equitable to our people and work closer with our partners. We also realize that we cannot do this alone. Perodua is looking to have strategic collaboration with Malaysian companies to offer something truly Malaysian. I call it all Malaysian, just like all Japan. Why can't we create here all Malaysian collaboration? And we want to create a bigger ecosystem that is beyond just suppliers, dealers, but also partners that can really offer the best to all Malaysian. So with that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much. Oh, you need that set.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, I ask for some patience as we take a few minutes to set up the Q&A.
Okay, ada break kejap lepas ni ada question and answer. So if you guys any questions, just send it here and kita akan cuba tanyakan lah. Quite big plans. So the increase of 37% production is a huge increase. It'll be interesting tengok macam mana produk nak achieve tu, but so far dia orang tak dapat lagi nak reach 220 pun. So it'll be interesting macam mana tengok dia nak sampai additional tu, and what kind of capex spending tahun ni dia orang plan. Because of course tahun ni I'm guessing untuk model baru kalau nak keluar awal tahun mungkin hari capex tahun lepas lah, tapi tahun ni katanya ada big spend juga on the books. So it'll be interesting to see apa yang dia orang tengah rancangkan. Biggest challenge tahun lepas was of course COVID lah dan banjir hujung tahun tu. Banjir hujung tahun tu banyak mengganggu perancangan hujung tahun dia orang untuk increase and do the final boosting untuk production and sales. And localization lagi banyak lah. Global supply chain banyak disrupted tahun ni. So that disruption in global supply chain taught them a lot of lessons tentang how you need to localize more lah kot kan, I guess. So then is more vendor development lah. And dia nak target 68% lah. Vehicle intake is a lot. 68% dekat Toyota punya level lah. 57% tahun ni, up to 68%. Retention rate, that's quite high retention rate untuk post-warranty vehicles. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it's done. Of course, moving forward, kita ada still challenges on raw material pricing. Steel pricing is still quite strong. Of course, coal pricing dah macam taper off sikit lah towards the end of 2021. So hopefully that stabilizes. But more exotic materials still quite strong. EV punya pressure on chips persists, and we'll see what happens. Pasal masa kita tanya masa MyV punya launching tentang chip problems ni, a lot of them they don't deal direct with chips, the chip maker through supplier tier 1, tier 2 suppliers. So sekarang tengah nak deal direct lah, banyak manufacturer try nak cuba deal direct dengan chip maker lah, and then maybe resupply those chips balik pada dia orang punya tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, because that's just, I mean it's more upfront cost for them, tapi I guess for the sake of stability and to guarantee supply, so they might have to do that. So we'll just continue again.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, we are sure you'd like to know more about everybody of this presentation. Before we begin our press conference, we would like to invite everybody that Perancangan Ahmad, everybody that Ahmad Kohani, and Sheikh Shulman to come on stage. Terima kasih. Ladies and gentlemen, members of media, before we open the floor for questions, we would like to invite
Hamzah tu dah confirm dah first quarter. Maybe
Okay,
first quarter, second quarter.
thank you. First of all, terima kasih for this briefing. So saya macam mana yang saya explain tadi, untuk tahun ni, tahun 2022 ni, kita punya target yang kita plan untuk registration and sale adalah lebih tinggi berbanding dengan 2021. And in fact, kita punya target untuk tahun ni adalah kalau kita boleh buat 147 247,800 unit untuk didaftarkan kepada semua pelanggan kita, maka ia merupakan di antara ia merupakan adalah yang paling tertinggi sekali yang pernah kita akan capai, yang pernah dicapai lah. Sebelum ni yang tertinggi adalah 240,000. And also dan juga production, dari segi production, sekiranya kita boleh melakukan 265,000 lebih daripada 265,000 unit, mana yang saya katakan tadi, ia juga merupakan adalah yang tertinggi jumlah production tertinggi yang kita ada. So sebagai kita ada dua kilang sekarang. Kilang yang lama adalah kita panggil Perodua manufacturing. Kilang Perodua manufacturing ni dia produce basically yang platform dia slightly panjang, artinya MIB, Alza dan juga Arus. At the same time also contract assembly for the garage. Dan kilang yang baru, Perodua Global Manufacturing, dia basically kilang ni adalah untuk A segment kita, untuk Asia, Beza dan juga Timah. So kilang yang baru ni basically because sebab di kilang ni dia lebih fleksibel, so kenaikan ataupun pengurangan dari segi volume banyak kali akan berlaku di kilang yang baru. Kalau kita nak increasekan capacity, kita kena increase takt time, for example, contohnya dekat kilang yang baru. Jadi untuk tahun 2022 ni, takt time untuk kilang yang baru ni kita plan nak increasekan dia kepada 1.35 compared to 1.45. So the speed faster, so every 1.35 minutes, one car will be come out from the factory. Yang kilang yang lama sudah ada ni, kalau ni kita operate dekat 1.8 minutes of operation. So itulah hopefully sebenarnya dengan target ni sebenarnya bukan saja kita saja kena tengok dari segi Perodua punya capabilities dan sebagainya, tetapi juga kita kena consider kita punya ecosystem. So our ecosystem, maybe kita punya vendors lah particularly, they have to be ready and realizing what happened in 2021. Bila particularly, two incident happened. Satu is actually because of the MCO. So after MCO, when we want to restart back our operation, then we realize, we cannot start suddenly with high operation and high volume requirement because they need time for them to stabilize the operation. Many reasons. One of them is actually logistic operation. Pilot kita punya stock, buffer stock, or the raw material preparation and sebagainya. And then number two, what happened is that learning from what happened at end of 2021, where flood happened, inshallah particularly, we had two vendors inshallah. We have two vendors inshallah. Memang fully cannot operate because of flood, and we have to do something and we have to take countermeasure. So what we did was that we went to the vendor, and then after 1 day of discussion and all that, the next day we pull out all our toolings and dies, and then we send to the other vendors all over Malaysia lah. Siapa yang boleh produce, the stamping part dan sebagainya. So within 3 days, kita boleh beroperasi semula. Cumanya operasi kita slow sikit because of the capacity dan sebagainya. So those are the things that we learned. So hopefully, from what we learned in 2021 because of flood and MCO, in 2022, we can take countermeasure, and we have to prepare our vendors and also suppliers with all the necessary, process, equipment, and all that to make sure they are able to cope with the requirement. So that is in a nutshell, what we plan to do for 2022, and of course, in terms of dealer and all that, we will continue to expand our 3S operations throughout the nation, and eventually, hopefully, we can serve our customer better. So with that, I would like to ask if you have any questions, please ask.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is now open for questions. So if you like to ask questions, please raise up your hand and we will hand you a microphone. So please say your name and affiliation beforehand. We have the first question, please.
Hello, Dato. I'm from Expenditure. Regarding Perodua market share drop below 40%, besides the factors of COVID-19 pandemic, we also observed some of the market share taken by household. What's your comment on that? First question. The second question is Perodua still doing facing one model launch for 2022?
Okay, thank you for the question. Question number one, the market share drop, basically, I would say, most of it because of the production interruption, because of COVID-19 MCO, and number two, because of the interruption due to the parts shortage, particularly the semiconductor shortage. So we believe the present market share that we have in 2021, is not because of the other OEM. Why? Because at end of 2021, we still have about 70,000 of outstanding booking, as I mentioned earlier. So this is, something I think if we are able to produce, if we are able to meet the target of, beyond 220,000 last year, at least 30,000 of that, of the customers waiting, will be, receiving their vehicle, if not because of the shortage and so on. So that's number one. On number two, yes, I will get, as I mentioned in times, the capabilities, actually our actual capabilities were 2 minor change and 1 full minor change per year. So we're going to have we will continue with that plan, and if you notice also, in the investment, one of the biggest chunk of the investment is actually new model development. So that is actually because of the full model change and also the minor change that we plan for this. Thank you. Any other questions?
Any questions, please? Yes,
Okay.
Any plan to, sorry, my name is June from the Sun Daily. Any plan to increase the retail price for cars this year?
Okay. Good question. As I mentioned in my slide, the challenge for this year is the increase in raw material price. The steel price forecasted to be increased by more than 20%. Third quarter last year, fourth quarter last year, we see beyond 20% increase, and first quarter this year, we also expect additional 10% increase on top of 20% what we see last year. So, however, for Perodua, of course, we do not intend to transfer this increase to customers. So, as of now, based on our current plan and based on our current, benchmarking and competitiveness study, we should be able to absorb any material price increase as of now, based on that. So, we hope, in fact, if you ask me personally, our friend here in Perodua also, they are a bit puzzled with the challenge that I asked them to do. For example, other people are talking about the spare part price increase, but for me, it's actually for this year. It is good that if we can, retain or reduce our spare part price, because this is where, this year is where we should, give the opportunity for Malaysians to service their car after 2 years of lockdown. After 2 years, they were not able to go to service their car. And also, we hope, the Malaysian customer will understand, realizing from the flood case and so on, will understand and go back to the authorized service center, hopefully. So we are now studying, if we can, it's a tough and difficult challenge, but we will announce later. If we can, we should be able, to have a more competitive spare part pricing to our customer. Thank you.
Ini the other back.
Hi, hello. Hi, good afternoon. This is Charlotte from Enemy Fuel News. I have two questions. The first one is, how likely do you think that the government would extend this sales tax because it has been extended 3 times already? And if the government extends to the end of the year, what's your sales target then? Because you say 247,000 is based on if nothing happens, and if the tax will end in June. So what's your revised sales target?
Okay, good question, but difficult for me to answer. I'm not sure. But I think at this moment there's still about 50 chances the government will extend the system. But we will continue to engage with the Malaysian government, particularly the MIF. Hopefully, if they can extend, particularly in our case because of our high outstanding booking, this would really help. This would really, benefit to our customers if the extension can happen. So that's number one. Number two, really, if the extension happens, actually, yes, bearing any unforeseen circumstances, we can do, of course, beyond the 247,000. But what is the number? How much we are still not able to say now, and we will announce accordingly if it happens. But looking at the current, momentum and the current market trend and also economic recovery plan, I can say that we will go beyond 250,000 if it is, if it says that zero exemption continue to be exempted and it's until the end of this year. Thank you. Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Shamsul from Fantastico. So peningkatan production tahun ni macam sangat besar lah. Adakah yang melibatkan pelaburan tambahan di kilang atau apa-apa perubahan? Dan what is your current maximum capacity for the old and the new factory?
Okay, terima kasih Encik Samsul. Ya, peningkatan memang mendadak. Kita ada membuat sedikit pelaburan, tapi tidak ada major pelaburan, tidak ada pelaburan yang besar. Kebanyakan pelaburan yang kita akan lakukan adalah kalau dekat kilang baru, Perodua Global ataupun PGMSB, pelaburan cuma dari segi penambahan macam saya cakap tadi, kalau kita nak naikkan dia punya tech, dia punya speed, maka additional manpower akan diperlukan, some additional process also available, but it is a small investment sebab in the case of PGMSB, kilang tu memang dah kita design daripada awal, dia boleh go to a maximum of tech time 1.2 km per second. 1.0. So maknanya dari segi space, dari segi part, preparation, allocation and all that, kita boleh go as high as 1.0 for kilang yang baru. For kilang yang lama, kita 1.8, kita boleh go as high as 1.7, 1.67 max that one. So dah tak boleh. So yang tu memang tak boleh nak buat pelaburan banyak lah, kecuali pelaburan yang akan dilakukan macam saya cakap tadi adalah dari segi logistik. So logistik memang kita akan spend a bit of money for this year to make sure that we have enough capacity. We should have enough the part supply system to cater for the increasing of the higher production requirement dan sebagainya. Satu. Yang keduanya pelaburan dari segi distribution. Orang kadang-kadang dia lupa, kita melupa, saya pun kadang-kadang bila kita tengok, we think that kita nak produce higher, kita nak produce, by the way, kita punya kapasiti yang kita ada sekarang ni adalah 320,000 setahun. So maknanya kalau kita currently kita plan dalam sebulan kita akan bekerja overtime 2 weekend. 2 days, two weekend overtime, and also 2.4 hours daily overtime yang kita akan buat untuk cater for the 265,000 or 270,000 kind of thing lah. Cuma kalau kita nak go beyond to produce what 320,000, maka kita akan need to do more overtime lah. For example, 3 hours overtime and maybe 3 weekends, in the past that we need to do. So itu satu. Tapi I would like to mention distribution dekat sini very important. Sebab apa? Sebab Perodua we operate based on SSE, slim, simple and compact operation. Slim, simple ni maknanya kalau ada changes senang nak dilakukan. Kalau ada additional requirement dalam masa yang singkat dapat dilakukan. That's why always slim, simple and compact. Jadi dekat logistik kita punya distribution berat ni sebenarnya. I cannot store more than 7,000 units of CPU. Memang tak ada tempat. Kita punya memang just in time. Jadi kalau production kita increase, and kalau distribution system, our distribution system, if it is slow, we are not able to deliver the car as fast as possible, then we're going to have another problem, which is the stock yard. So we don't want to invest in the stock yard because that is, I think, waste, mudah. Kalau kita therefore, yang kita nak invest, rather than investing in the stock yard, make sure kita invest dekat kita punya delivery system. Maknanya dekat kita punya carrier system. Kita kena make sure that kita punya dealer and Perodua need to talk and work together to make sure that we have a proper, efficient pickup and delivery system and all that. So yang tu kita akan invest and hopefully if we can improve our distribution and based on the current system that we have, we should be able to get any increase in production up to 320,000 units per annum.
Mr. Chips,
Just now in your presentation, you didn't talk about exports of your cars. Can you tell us a bit about that? And the second part is your big brother in Shah Alam often talks about becoming a regional player. Yeah. What are Perodua's plans in that particular aspect? Do you plan to become a regional player also, or you just continue to focus on domestic market? Thank you.
Thank you, James. Yes, I did not mention export just now. For one simple reason. At this moment, even until now, our export market was still unclear. We're still not clear about our export market because, for example, Sri Lanka they're still closed, they're still not open, and then our Mauritius and all that they're still not no order from them because of the tourism industry badly affected over there, and some other countries also safety. The only country that that is actually we are exporting and a new model which is Arus, actually Singapore, surprisingly. There's a demand for Arus in Singapore, so we plan to do, but the volume is not much, it's not big, okay? And we also has done a survey recently in one country, and we think there is potential. But I'm sorry, I cannot announce now, but we will announce later. And if this happens, and if we can do this, of course, together with the support from the government, then maybe we can export. So in a nutshell, to summarize, I'm not able to talk about export because of the our exporting countries, but for example, like Sri Lanka, Mauritius, and others, they are still closed and they are not open. So export for this year is going to be very minimal, about less than 2,000 units, mainly to Singapore, Brunei, and also Indonesia. So that is the only export for this year. And some other OEM we talk about ASEAN and all that, but for us, Perodua, for this year, we would like to focus on the domestic market first. And not only focusing on the market, but we like to focus on the product development, the new technology development. I mentioned, if you notice in my slide, we talk about connected mobility. So maybe in the future we'll see or we'll make announcement about our connected, vehicle and so on. We are now doing the testing. Hopefully, once this testing completed, and we will be able to share with you, what we mean by connected vehicles. So, rather than focusing on being the ASEAN hub for the product, we would like to focus on the development of the product so that the Malaysian can enjoy a better technology product at an affordable price. For example, one and two on ASEAN actually, as I mentioned many times, the R&D. Yes, we want to become the ASEAN hub for R&D. So hopefully, our partners will not invest in Thailand or Indonesia, and we use Malaysia as a base for our R&D, for the R&D. Okay. So thank you.
Hello. Hi, I'm from Malaysian Motoring. I have a few questions for you. For starters, the government announcement on electrification, specifically for EVs, has that changed Perodua's product roadmap in any way? Secondly, we noticed that in your earlier clarification for the model breakdown, basically on which models are built in which factory, could you confirm whether or not Perodua manufacturing is capable of building DMGA-based vehicles, or is that solely in the GMSV? And thirdly, you mentioned the digitalization of Perodua's future. Now, when in your slide you mentioned that as banks digitalize and digital services have gone further and further online, there have been fewer needs for outlets for branches, and so as a result, more services online, fewer need for brick and mortar stores. Shouldn't that be something that might panic dealers who have extensive networks? Because Perodua does have one of the most extensive dealer networks in the country. Does that mean that your dealer network will be slimming down? What does that mean for the future for Perodua's dealer network? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yes, number one on the EV, the recent announcement of the EV really changed our EV roadmap. We are now studying together with our partner. We understand the requirement for the plan and target by the government. They're talking about carbon neutrality by 2050, and in fact, they asked us, if the government, based on the recent COP26, if they can, expedite to 2040, and because of that, by 2030, the automotive industry, should be the first industry to be on the green initiative, where the government actually is targeting about 15% of the TIV in 2030 will be the EV electric vehicle. So we realize this, and we are making plan. And hopefully, we can make announcement very soon, and rest assured, within this year we will make announcement about our EV plan for future for our future EV roadmap plan, the revised plan. Then number two on the PMSB, yes, they are actually PMSB is effectively where we can also produce the NTA platform. So we are taking advantage of what happened last year because of MCO lockdown, and we also got to shut down because of flood last year, 1 week or 3 days, 2 days, and then in fact early this year we have about 1 week shutdown. So that time and opportunity actually we use that to improve our PMSB plant and factory to make sure all the facilities and equipment are ready for the DNTA production later on in the future. In fact, our next model, which to be produced in PMSB, will be DNTA models. So number three on digitalization, yes, we realize that, and also our dealers and our dealer association PDA also realize that. That's why I mentioned earlier, our dealers need to change from the simply a small enterprise to become a business, to improve their business to become a company, for example. So we will guide them. So this plan actually will eventually help them to make sure that they are actually in sync with Perodua as far as digitalization is concerned. So maknanya rest assured kita tak akan reduce our dealer, we will not reduce our dealer. Cumanya kita akan come up with a plan di mana they have to improve and become PS make them stronger, make them bigger, and with that, eventually besok kalau kita introduce bila kita talk about digital, for example, digital showroom, all of them or some of them, majority of them hopefully can participate, in this program and eventually will help them to grow their business. So memang rest assured, they are our partners. We will not simply reduce them, and what we want them is actually to collaborate and communicate, and hopefully, they can expand their operation to become a 3X and eventually become our key partners in terms of digitalization of society.
Next question from Shara, please.
Hafiz from Bolton.org. My first question is, looking at the forecast data for sales and production, there seems to be a very much higher number for production compared to registrations. Why is that? Since you also mentioned that exports are very low, are we looking at contract assembly? Yeah. And question number 2, can you confirm that the ALSA production is ending in January? And with that, you've also mentioned that the model breakdown is going to be 90% for the ALSA. That's even that's almost double compared to ours. So when can we expect the new ALSA to come in?
Thank you for the question. Number one is actually yes, production higher than our sales, because as I what we plan to do is that two reasons. Number one is actually I got to build my 7,000 CBU yard so that I can reduce the customer waiting period. Even if you're booking, if we have or we receive your booking, hopefully we can deliver within short period of time. Therefore, I need to have a buffer stock on hand. So at end of last year, actually we only have about 1,300 units of CBU. Itu pun registered CBU, allocated CBU, tapi tak sempat nak register. Ada juga yang some of them yang register satu hari, customer to collect, lepas tu kena mati. Kena mati. So itu pun sama. Sebenarnya most of our CBU carry forward memang dah ada customer, with customer. So for this year, we hope with the extra production we're going to have, then we're going to have a little bit of buffer, and this buffer actually helps to reduce the waiting period. In terms of the contract assembly, out of that numbers, actually contract assembly numbers still very small for this year. It's going to be less than 2,000 units per month. Per year, less than 2,000 units per year. So that is in terms of contract assembly. In terms of ALSA, we plan to stop ALSA production actually by January. Cumanya recently, because of flood, because of the MCO, and because of certain restrictions that we have in the ecosystem, finally we managed to get the extension for us to produce ALSA until end of April. Actually, end of April. But we plan to continue ALSA production until maybe end of March or April, something like that. So for ALSA. Then number 3, yes, in terms of numbers for the year, you can see 9% ALSA out of 260,000 is quite a big number. Yes, there got to be ALSA for the change. Cumanya the timing to when I cannot tell you now, because dia ni tertakluk kepada our current production preparation readiness. So saya minta maaf sebab because of what happened last year, because of flood and MCO, somehow rather yang impact sikit jugalah dekat kita punya model introduction. Cumanya we will not, dia takkan carry forward sampai next year. Because next year we're going to have another full model change. So we have to do it this year, and hopefully the transition between the old ALSA and the new ALSA will be smooth, and semua customer kita hopefully they can enjoy. For record, we have now on hand about 3,200 outstanding bookings of ALSA, for example. So we believe, with the production that we have, which extended up to March or April, we should be able to deliver of this 3,200 vehicles of ALSA. So I hope the transition will be smooth and no issue in terms of old and new ALSA. Hopefully. Thank you. Yes, Cik Ezri.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Selamat Tahun Baru. I only have two questions actually. Number one, it's with regards to your National Emission Test Center. Berapa tahun dah dibuka dan are there any car companies actually using it? How many, if so? The next one will be your R&D hub. Will it be limited to only Perodua models or more the global model shared by your partner?
Terima kasih Cik Azri. NETC sebenarnya kita lakukan NETC ini officially kita launch pada sekadar 2019 we have started kita commission 2019. Cumanya pada masa 2019 kita terpaksa menggunakan TUV untuk certify the testing. So dalam masa 2019 sampai sepatutnya based on plan selepas 2 tahun, TUB akan certify our members, to do the testing and then endorse this NETC. Tetapi because of the MCO, kita tak boleh nak to be independent. So the TUB still continue work together with us and certify, do all the certification for information. And not only NETC, related to the testing we done in NETC. At the same time also, last year, in fact, end of 2020, kita punya test track also already expanded to meet all the WLTP testing protocol and all that together dengan NETC. Jadi maknanya NETC ni lab test that they can do, lepas tu physical test tu they can use our test track, and kita punya test track ni lepas kita expand, dia boleh meet whatever WLTP punya requirement. So untuk itu, and memang for information, we have had quite a few of OEM actually use our NETC. Cuma nama dia I cannot remember. Cumanya memanglah dia datang, dia kena bayar for the testing and all that. And benda this NETC basically independent. Maknanya bukan Perodua members saja, tapi government members are there. So dia memang kita consider as a separate cost of profit center for us for NETC. Memang, and then dia punya they also inside a different compound. Maknanya if you want to go to NETC, dia bukan masuk to Perodua but also separate. So memang dah quite a few, and based on the schedule and the plan that we have, NETC ni sekarang ni pun penuh. Testing and all that. Bukan saja, not only OEM but also the government. MyROS or some other agency also they use our NETC for testing. And R&D hub sebenarnya memang kita punya plan bila kita kata hub tu not only for Perodua but also our global model, kita punya partner global model. So as you know that I think as I mentioned earlier, kita still ada lebih kurang about 50 members in Japan. They are actually working not for Perodua but also for the other global models, all the DNTA models, in fact some other ISO models and so on. So eventually kalau besok R&D hub kita completed and certified, this member yang dah ada pengalaman in Japan will be the core member of this R&D, and then kita akan base here in Malaysia, and they can use our R&D, for whatever development that they want, not only for model, but also for their models. So that is the intention. Thanks. Yeah, Samsul.
Continuing on the R&D itu, is there any particular areas of expertise yang Perodua nak focus on to become like the center of excellence for? And about the electric car punya plan tadi cakap 2030 the government wants to see how many %, right? So what is the projected TIV for 2030, and what do you think the number that you need to produce to maintain your share?
Okay. Sebenarnya 2030 TIV they are looking at about 700, if I'm not mistaken, beyond 700,000 of TIV. I think between 700 to 725,000 of TIV, if I'm not mistaken. And we are actually if you ask me about our vision and our target, actually we are looking at about 40% of that. Then our volume got to be beyond 320,000. About 320 to 325,000. And at that time, government is forecasting for 15% of that will be the EV. But based on our current, this is Perodua internal study, we think by 2050, I think the numbers will be around 5%, the EV, not 15%. This is what we think based on our current study and based on the current development. So of course, later, in the future, we will announce what is our plan as far as EVs.
R&D.
Sorry. On R&D, R&D is actually for at this moment, satu is actually the upper body or top head development tu memang we have achieved the capabilities. Okay, kita boleh buat full upper body development basically. But now we're looking beyond. Yang beyond kenapa? Basically there are two another area that we plan to do. Is number one is engineering design. Engineering design ni maknanya how to convert that design, how to make sure that design meeting all the engineering requirement, including also the regulation requirement and so on. Maknanya kalau saya boleh buat upper body, but without realizing that upper body does not meet the aerodynamic requirement, for example, then this is not capability. So I think that area also we need to improve the engineering design. We are there, but not 100% there yet. Another area is our testing facilities. Testing ni memang kita kata tadi Aviation Test Center, our VR center and so on. Another, I think if you notice in my slide, I put in italic kita panggil Living Lab IR 4.0. So Living Lab ni is actually something yang kita nak buat slightly different, whereby we want to reduce the development timing. Kalau dulu, let's say one model to develop because of pre-model preparation, the number of prototypes that we need to do and so on, maybe quite a number of prototypes and quite sometimes because of the sometimes model development timing because of the clay model preparation. But under the concept of Living Lab IR 4.0, what we have to do is that we want to reduce half, the development and preparation timing. So this is something also that we need to improve. So the testing facilities and also capabilities, the engineering design capabilities on top of the current, upper body skin development that we have. So these are the areas. So there is yeah.
Just now you said that test track, Perodua's test track will be upgraded to WLTP standard. Will this mean that from now on, Perodua cars will WLTP Q rating instead of the old NEDC? Might be not that support we need now the idea. So would there be any built-in, RFID model?
Thank you, good question. Yes, for the WLTP, moving forward, for future, memang it is in our plan, that our vehicle should meet all the WLTP requirements. In fact, not only WLTP, I think the government will also announce very soon. It's still, still under discussion. But hopefully we can develop our own Malaysian driving cycle. Maknanya, if you declare that your car can meet, 20 liters, 20 kilometers per liter, it has to be tested under Malaysian environment. So these are still on the way. We are finalizing, so very soon they will announce. But more information, hopefully our car will meet all whatever the Malaysian driving cycle requirement. Number two, on the smart tag, yes, we have provided attached with the built-up smart tag, and we noticed one of the items that I mentioned towards the end of my presentation, collaboration with the other Malaysian company. So that is very important. Kalau kita nak, if you want to see this automotive industry to grow. So I call it all Malaysia, maknanya all the other national companies in Malaysia, including Perodua, should collaborate. Collaboration maknanya banyak kita ada, whether being telco business, whether being energy companies, whether being the highway operators and so on, including also the as you mentioned, the RFID and so on. So we will make announcement very soon. If it is, if we can, hopefully we can do that, and hopefully we can give this, RFID facilities to customer and up to the customer to choose whether they want to activate or whether they want to use or not. But the option must be given to customers. So that is very important. So the collaboration I mentioned is actually more on, like, for example, cross-marketing strategies, joint development, joint activities that we can have that will eventually, make Perodua, make Malaysia, make the automotive industry in Malaysia go further and beyond the current that we have. So, thanks.
And last question from Hans Walker.
Yeah.
Regarding electrification, there was mention of electrification in automatic earlier. I would like to confirm the investment for electrification is on start project, or are we starting to see the first electrified program model this year?
Investment for electrification that I mentioned, actually for start of the project. This is basically, the feasibility study that needs to be done, and then all the basic, scenarios and also assumption that we need to do, and also study in terms of our, market surveys and all that, for example. Cumanya, just to let you know, the investment for electrification is going to be huge. It's not small, and it will definitely not like our ICE engine, where we have become effective in that area. So electric car is another area that we have to make sure that it is effective. We are not like the others OEM, di mana where if we introduce electric car because of technology or because of environment, but Perodua we add one more item, which is affordable. Affordable because we want to keep Malaysian mobility, through mobility, and we want to keep Malaysian to enjoy this new technology. So this study is actually macam mana how to make electrification affordable to Malaysia. So this is the investment that we will have, and that's why collaboration with the others is very important. Maknanya, for example, kalau we talk about electrification, for example, so I'm just saying, for example, kalau say for example, if Perodua want to do all the product campur plus the infrastructure plus all the other things, the investment is going to be huge. So there should be a standard in the country about the charging station. There must be somebody who willing to invest in the development of infrastructure, the charging station and all that, meeting all the green requirement and all that, and eventually, we come up with the product. And if this kind of collaboration happen, I believe Malaysia can enjoy the affordable electric vehicles in the future.
One point to clarify, electrification, the definition, you include hybrid as well, not just
Yes, include hybrid as well.
Right, thank you very much to our panel for today, and thank you to all of you for your participation in this Q&A session. Now we would like to invite the program management and all the members to proceed to volume 1 and 2 for Perodua Chinese New Year.
So silakanlah kita ada tadi sebelum lanjut. Ini dah lama kita tak pun kita buat.
Okay, so berita Alza tu maksudnya
and I'm very sorry kita tak boleh invite more sebab of the social distance dan sebagainya. Sekarang ni table punya SOP boleh beri. So try to invite some active members, and hopefully if things get better, we can do more engagement with all the thank you very much. Please enjoy our
okay, jadi nampaknya Alza tu ditangguhkan lah. Kalau hari tu Alza patut berhenti, existing model patut berhenti end of January. So most likely the existing model will continue until late March ataupun awal April lah. So kita tengok likelihood of the new model to be introduced is going to be second half of the year lah. Kita rasa lah, kita punya projection the second half of the year lah, bulan 6 ke atas lah untuk Alza baru. That is just simply sebab delay lah. probably meeting all the numbers yang dia orang perlu mendapatkan lah untuk existing Alza. Satu lagi interesting dia orang punya perancangan untuk kereta elektrik lah by 2030 tu. Dia orang nampak 5% lah of the total volume will be electric. So assuming that they get 320,000 target dia orang untuk 2030, 5% of that would be 16,000 electric cars for Perodua by 2030. So kita ada soalan sikit nak tanya mengenai itu. So hopefully kalau ada peluang kita nak tanya sekejap lah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mas.
How do you do that actually? Everybody is increasing. You're cutting your profit lah.
No, kita sekarang ni streamline balik. Bila kita tengok balik spare part ni kan, dia punya business, kata orang tu business, ekosistem dia tak betul. Sebab apa? You ada kita boleh refine lagi. Kita bagi dekat distributor bagi dekat dealer bagi dekat customer.
So maknanya nak buang orang tengah tu je nak?
Kalau saya rationalizekan balik this, kalau distribution ni saya jadikan dealer. Contoh je lah. That means you know they are actually exposed to
So
customer.
it's not the raw material or the production, tapi proses
Betul.
sampai ke consumer tu.
Yes. Kita
Will there
proses.
be like direct purchase as well from Perodua? Can you do online?
Bukan online lah, tapi macam sekarang ni, macam saya cakap collaboration kan. Dekat petrol station kalau you notice, semua kita punya minyak hitam ke apa, semua je boleh beli kat petrol station. So national company ni dia kena collaborate.
I see.
Tenaga national, kalau tenaga national collaborate, dia buat all the charging station for example.
Oh, you mean?
So that's why I tak macam lah macam ni, tapi this kind of thing lah. Itu yang macam spare part ni something yang I nak triggerkan supaya kita nak improve the process tu supaya customer boleh enjoy direct access. Tak payah nak mati layer.
Sorry, we're going to photo op with the media without mask. If